What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the one and only Jodeci Dion. And yes, I'm back finally with a new video. I'm sorry. I know this return, we're supposed to be the return of me doing content, but man, a lot of things going on, in real life, in real time, and just haven't had the opportunity to sit back and do a video. That's kind of, I wanted to come back and do videos a certain way and be consistent with it. But the main issue right now is just not having time, but also not being able to do the videos the way I want to do them, aka the quality I want to do them in. But I'm gonna try to start in 2026. I'm gonna try my best to just start to deliver content frequently. You know, at least once, at least a video a week, maybe. That's the plan. We'll see. But in today's video, while I'm sitting here waiting for my boy to get out of college, I want to talk about the state of the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to sales. As you've heard with the NPD, the Nintendo Switch did not win the November NPD, Black Friday, race. It was outsold by the PlayStation 5, partially due to a price cut that console received. And then there are also lower numbers in December, according to NPD insiders. There's no official numbers yet, but I'm assuming the numbers should hit sometime this week, maybe today. But overall, the industry is down altogether. I mean, supposedly in November, there were only 1.6 million consoles sold combined. PS5, Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch, Xbox. You know what I'm saying? So the industry as a whole is down. So it's not really anything to be worried about. But as in the console wars, the console wars in the media, when things are not doing what people are expecting to do, it's going to be a narrative. It's going to be the agenda. It's going to be someone talking about something, and the talking point is the Nintendo Switch 2 overhyped? Is it destined to bomb? Did it peak too early and now it's just going to die out, slow death? I call bullshit on that. And the main reason I call bullshit on that, look at Japan. Look what it's consistently doing there every week. 100,000 consoles every week. 150,000 consoles every week since its release. It's just recently hit 2 million sold in Japan alone. So, the games are selling over there. You have games already over 400,000. Your Kirby's, your Donkey Kong Bonanza. So the Switch in Japan is hot, it's fire. But why is it hot and fire in Japan but not here in America? Now, don't mind you, Nintendo Switch has already broke records, being the fastest selling console of all time, currently all time. And it's done all these great numbers up until basically December. And a lot that can be said about the current state of the U.S. Market when it comes to just, people and their money and what they're buying and everything. We had the whole, no EBT card situation going on. There's a lot of things going on that's affecting people's spending. And so you're not going to spend money on, entertainment like that, and we're seeing it across the board. But still, it's a new item. It's a new hot item. People should be, just trying to get it. And they did do that in the very beginning. Now, if you compare the Switch 2's Black Friday to the Switch 1's Black Friday, it's definitely a decline. But you got to remember there are two different situations going on here. One, the original Switch released in March and was able to build momentum through spring, summer, fall, and then into December. The Switch 2 launched in summer, fall, and then Christmas here. So basically a shorter time span. Nowhere near the build up, you know. And then also too, the Switch 2 is dealing with something that the Switch 1 didn't have to deal with. Expectations and the narrative. See, the Switch 1, it was coming off the Wii U failure. So for the most part, part of the industry just wanted it, and the fans just wanted to do well enough, not be a Wii U. And then ended up blowing up and becoming one of the greatest consoles of all time. But the Switch 2 is coming off that. It's carrying the baton from that tradition, that hype, that success. And with that, you're going to get a massive wave of hate. And unfortunately, in the West, that's how our industry works. They love you one minute, they hate you the next. It's rare where they They just like, hey, success, success, success. We support it. Let's go. Keep doing it. It's rare. And when you're coming from a point of when it comes from Nintendo, who's always had this hate, love relationship with the industry, with the media, with fans in general, and gamers overall, you never know what you're gonna get. Another thing too, the Switch One was able to build momentum because it released with probably one of the greatest games of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. That game, through word of mouth, through people playing it, build momentum and hype to where you had non-Nintendo fans wanting to go out to buy the Nintendo Switch because they want to say they experienced this game. You know what I'm saying? That happens a lot. When you get a game that's generational, with a game that's beyond a console, people who don't own that console will buy that console to play it. So you have your PlayStation fans, your Xbox fans, who obviously are not Nintendo supporters, but they want to see for themselves, is this game really that good? And that's what they did. With the Switch 2, you really didn't launch with anything like that. Yes, you have a system seller in Super Mario World, and then a month later, you got a great platformer, Donkey Kong Bonanza. But those games traditionally are not games that make your non-Nintendo fans go out and buy a Nintendo console day one. So you're not getting that audience. Then you got the whole situation with the market when it comes to just people spending money. So you're losing that money, that Christmas money, that gift money. And then two, another factor is the fan base itself. You see, when it comes to Nintendo and its fan base, it's always been this way. You have your Nintendo fans, people like me, aka the only console I have is a Nintendo console. The only games I buy are games for that console. I'm not sharing between other consoles. I'm not sharing anything. It's Nintendo and the software that's provided for it. And I'm also a person who buy Nintendo content regardless. It's not the mega franchises. It's everything. If they make something that's gonna be good or entertaining, I'm gonna support it. That percentage of your Nintendo fan base, in my opinion, I want to say is very small. Overall, it's probably maybe 10 to 50% of the overall fan base. People who will buy a Nintendo console day one because they plan to play games made for the console by Nintendo and the third parties. Then you have your Nintendo fans who are fans of certain franchises, aka Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda. Those people will buy a console based on the availability of those games at the time. Breath of the Wild came out with the Switch, and so all the Zelda fans bought it because they had to play Breath of the Wild day one. Mario 64 came out with N64. Super Mario fans had to buy it day one to get it. And so you have a lot of people who want to buy a Nintendo console, but they can't justify buying it until those games are released. And since none of those games have been released for the console yet, at least the new games, new games in the franchises, they're going to sit back and wait because they know it's coming and they can save their time and money and do it later. So you have that. And that's across multiple franchises now. You have your Super Mario fan base, your Legend of Zelda fan base, your Animal Crossing fan base, your Smash fan base. You see what I'm saying? Your Pokemon fan base. These people who play those games, those are the main reasons they own the console or will buy a console or device, and they're going to buy it once those new experiences are available. And then, like I said, you have the third tier, which is basically your non-Nintendo fans, but they'll buy a console depending on certain games it gets, exclusives, or they'll buy when something is hype and they have to experience, aka the new Zelda, the new Mario, maybe a new Metroid, a Xenoblade game, whatever. And so, that's a percentage of your people. So when you look at it that way, you don't have a new Mario or a Zelda game at launch. You don't have a game that's going to get those non-Nintendo fans to buy it also, honestly. And then, that leaves your day ones who've been waiting for a new console, because it's time, and who will buy anything and everything, aka me. And so most of the initial hype and buyers are from them, from us, So now we have the word of mouth. Once Switch launched, despite the games being great, there's also been this negative backlash to every game. Super Mario World, you saw how that went. Donkey Kong Bonanza, after the DLC dropped. You know what I'm saying? Kirby, no matter what it's been, every game that's released, despite how great they've been, there's been this initial positive, and then an instant negative vibe that goes with it. And word of mouth matters. If you got people standing around playing a kiosk, playing Mario World, playing Super Mario Kart World, and you're playing it, and then someone comes around and say, "Well, I mean, it's the same as Deluxe, or I like Deluxe better, or whatever reason they say it is." You know what I'm saying? Or try this. That has an effect. And as you see with social media, TikTok, Snapchat, all this stuff, there are a lot of people who could be swayed easily by, the masses, And as you see with the current YouTube base, especially when it comes to the gaming YouTube community, there are a lot of people who've made their career just bashing, being negative and bashing anything that people enjoy. And there's like so-called active Nintendo fan base channels that are doing this daily. And so when you get bombarded with all this stuff in your algorithm, you're gonna think, well, maybe I can wait because maybe it ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? When you get it, when Mario Kart World comes out, and within a week or days, there's already videos talking about this game ain't that good, it's boring, blase, it should have been this, it should have been that. You know, if you don't do your own research, you may wait and not buy the game instantly, or the console instantly, especially at the current price point it's at. You know what I'm saying? The Switch is a lot of money, and the games are way more expensive. So you gotta be real selective when you're buying stuff. And so I definitely feel like that's the narratives push, the negative press, and then just the people's current financial state has had an effect on what should have been arguably be a great, like, first December for the Switch 2. But also, too, remember, we're only 3 or 4 months removed from the initial launch. And so, a lot of folks spend that Christmas money they spend in June. And then when Christmas came around, they didn't have anything else. Where in the past, you had March and you were able to buy something and then save some more money and then get to that point. You know what I'm saying? So that really has something to do with what happened. Especially when you can see that the other consoles, Xbox and PlayStation, they didn't do that much better either. If PlayStation didn't have that price cut, it wouldn't have sold what it sold. And we see the current state of the Xbox. It's just it's walking dead. But yeah, I just want to bring that to people's viewpoint, because when you look at what's going on in Japan, the console is selling there weekly at a great rate. The games are selling there weekly at a great rate. Look at the top 10 of the Famitsu numbers. Look at all the games that are for the Switch they are selling. Look at all the games that are over 100,000, and there are even some now that are reaching 400,000. And these are not even Nintendo's A-list games. When the new Kirby Air Riders come out and in Japan it's almost at 500,000, that's saying something. When Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out and it's already at 500,000 in Japan, that's saying something. You know what I'm saying? If Japan's fucking with it, it means something. When the culture is fucking with it, it means something. Usually in the past, though, we look at Japan, see what they're doing, and then we try to jump on board. But see, we're in this whole, MAGA, America first, kind of era now, and so the mindset different. We believe we're the culture of someone else's culture, and and that mindset is going into gaming and everything else. You know what I'm saying? And it's not right. It ain't the way it should be, but that's what's currently going on, and so that's having an effect on, perceive. The perceived success of something, especially when it's something that's not made here. You know what I'm saying? And so I want y'all to just look at that. You know what I'm saying? Don't listen to all the BS, because that's what it is. Sit back and think about it logically, what's really going on. And then from there, man, just like I said, just wait and see. The main thing is, we all know that Nintendo has released a Switch 2 and it's very successful. And they've done it with their B and C tier content. You know what I'm saying? Kirby Air Riders is a C tier content. It's not a platformer, it's a racer. It's C tier content. Donkey Kong Bonanza, despite what it is like a B tier franchise for Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Mario Kart is Mario Kart, but still, it's, you know, Mario Kart is that game you play. It's that multiplayer game you play, because it's fun and you run your crew and it's online experience and everything. But no one really sits down and say, I can't wait for the new Mario Kart to come out for my new console. It's not the headliner. It's not the showcase of what the console is. That new Mario will be. That new Zelda will be. You know what I'm saying? So, look at those points when you think about what's going on, and remember that Nintendo still has those cards to play. They still have the next Mario, the next Zelda, the new Animal Crossing. You know what I'm saying? That's when you really know. That's when we really know what's really going on with the console and what's really going on with the sales of it. We still haven't hit year one yet. You know what I'm saying? We're only like 6 months in. Chill out. All right, y'all. This is your boy, the one on Joe Sedan. I'll see you next time. Peace.